We're going to start the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen special meeting. It's February 18th, 2020, and I have 10 after 5. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And actually, normally at this point, we'd have open session. Did you want to speak to us, Jerry?
He has a ordinance that he would like to speak to you about.
All right.
They're right there in front of
This one?
Dale, yes.
One for each of us?
I think so, yes.
You get me right out of here.
Yep,
Thank you.
we'll let you go home. Thank you.
Okay. Page 3, the back page on each package, is our present property maintenance ordinance. And section 4 of that ordinance contains only enforcement. However, there was no mechanics to be able to enforce it. So George initiated it back last fall, that the planning board write an administrative section and use it as section 4 and use it as an amendment to this ordinance. And what it does, it covers the enforcement, fines, legal action, and then on the next page, the people's right to appeal. And that was noticeably lacking in these other ones. It didn't have the proper mechanics to be able to administer it properly. And George was frustrated with it, and I don't wonder. He went to people and tried to get things cleaned up and went to them, but they had no idea what their rights even were. And it's not fair. This is pretty common language for most ordinances to have an administrative section where the municipal officers, code enforcement, and the people know what the procedure is for administering this ordinance. And it's only section 4 that we want to amend. Delete the present one.
Completely delete it.
Completely delete that and use this
verbiage.
instead.
Okay.
Everything else is the same?
Yes.
Section, okay, so all the words, everything else, so it's just cut and put this one in,
Yes.
replace.
So this property maintenance ordinance is currently in place. We passed this,
Yeah, basically it's a nuisance ordinance.
our nuisance, right. What year did we do that, you know?
Pardon me?
Do you know what year we passed the
About 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
It's not very old.
okay.
It's supposed
It
to say
was-
15, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
I kind of remember the meeting.
Yeah.
It was a model that George had pulled up and we'd never even had much of a chance to work on it. And
So the Board of Appeals would be where that you would go with your appeal.
yeah.
That board is gonna get a little bit busier. Yeah, because they don't really, I mean, I could see this becoming,
Well, yeah, now that it's
yeah, now,
got.
I mean, you got a pile of tires and the neighbor doesn't like it, we write you up. The
You
Board
know.
of Appeals is gonna hear that, likely.
If they take it to appeal,
Yeah.
or they'll clean it up.
Oh, they'll clean it up.
Right,
It's- George went around and did his job, but he had no
Sure.
mechanics
Sure.
to get it done.
Yeah.
It,
in no teeth.
it just weren't, it wasn't that bad.
The only one, dude, is this something that we need a legal opinion on? Whether we have the authority to do this? I mean,
They do.
can we, I mean, how do we collect the $50 a day?
I think state statute has always said
We've
that.
already, there's a rule of state statute because we've already applied this.
the state statute says that.
We've done this.
That you can do that, and then, it always has been your last recourse, your only recourse is to go to court.
So we can't
But you
attack, we
put a
can't put it on their
lien,
property
you
tax,
can't
for
lien
example.
it, lien.
Every time I've asked MMA, they said, no, you can't, you have to go to court.
Good, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So that, I mean, you're gonna, okay.
George swears there's a way to put a lien on their taxes.
Well,
I can go to legal and see if they,
Under George's advisements, we have.
It has been done, hasn't
We've
it?
done this already.
yeah.
On their property tax.
Yeah,
I thought we did to your neighbor.
yeah.
Nobody can tell me the mechanics
may
of how
not
it
have been
works.
legal.
It's 100%.
You,
I don't
100%
know.
legal or not?
No, 100%, I agree with you, I don't know.
But
Oh.
we need to know.
I mean, we did
Right.
it as under advisement because that's what our code enforcement told us. to
If
do.
it's legal, it's extremely powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
So,
And-
Well,
Collection's
yes, it-
automatic, and I guess the only place it would get clunky is if they didn't own property, if it was rental,
Oh,
but I guess it becomes a landlord's problem. But it would be nice to know whether that's legal or not.
right.
Otherwise, collection it could get
Sticky.
really expensive. Cause you're gonna hire an attorney, he's gonna go to court, and even at $50 a day, you know,
$50 a day, and gonna have legal fees.
no.
Yeah.
But it is a growing problem in our town. For just a small example, on our road, there's some people that built this funny looking little stick thing. And then they build onto it and back their camper under it. And they go out and sit in their automobile at night until quite late, and then I think they bundle up and go sleep in their
Oh,
camper.
sorry.
Well, he couldn't
Yeah.
get his car onto the road, so he put out a sign, "Don't use tires here." And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, we've noticed it. It's quite a,
That's terrible.
it's
Then
quite a
he
thing.
builds a driveway out of it, and, how many, I don't think he's a used tire disposal site. And there's all kinds of that stuff in town.
And it is amazing how, you know, I have one neighbor that it's just, before there were just 2 or 3 extra cars, and it seems like every year there's another extra car, you know, and all of a sudden, now
But
there's
really,
probably
doesn't it come
5.
down to enforcement? I mean, if you don't have teeth, you don't have anything.
Right, so I think
Well,
this.
the cars, that's our car issue, that's not an issue, because there's already things out there. How about that? Under 10 cars is considered a junkyard. So I mean, there are other means there for certain things, but.
But I
Yeah,
think
I mean-
everything ends up with us in court.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
not a
it's
good
extra
scenario.
car,
Right.
like all
I
extra
believe this
cars,
can
would
as well,
George
the
have
right
to
person.
enforce that,
Even
turn
with
that
this
on
opinion.
this, or no?
Yeah, that's my concern.
We could,
George would represent the town.
If
Right,
if we can legally do what we did to your neighbor, I love this.
Me too.
But we have to, if
So
we
we just have
can't,
to
I
run it
don't
by
like it much.
MMA, right? Or,
Well, MMA's saying no.
oh,
but I can run it by legal.
I think I'd send this to them and
we-
ask them.
Could put it on the warrant, and then I can get a legal opinion, and if they say this isn't gonna do it, we just say,
strike.
I
our
guess,
advice is to skip over this,
Right.
what does everybody think? If this isn't really enforceable, if the only way you can get your $50 is to hire an attorney and go and take them to court, do you want this?
Get rid of the ordinance.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, if you can't enforce it, it isn't worth anything.
No, it's just a
If we don't
charade.
intend to enforce them, correct.
but if legal says there is a mechanism.
Then I'm very interested.
Very interested, because yes, I mean,
Right.
So-
we're growing on places it needs to be.
I just happened to run into Jerry today, he said it's finished, could we get it, you know, I was
Does that
hoping-
make sense to you, Jerry? If we can't enforce it, it's not really, there's not really a point in having it. But if we can enforce it, we could really do some good with this.
Yeah, and the will to enforce it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, we all have the will, I think.
Well, if we can find
We're just trying to
somebody
figure
who's
out how to
willing,
do it, yeah.
but,
The CEO does.
yeah. But if at the end of the day, we levy a fine of $50 a day, and they just choose not to pay us, and the only way we can get it is to hire an attorney at $400 an hour, that's not gonna work.
No.
But if we can levy their property tax, we will get that money.
Yeah, that would be,
So they're like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the crux of this.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll we'll delay our decision till we get a definitive answer, is that kinda what you guys, is that where we're at?
And, well, I mean, we can't put this on unless we know it's legal or not, we can't move it forward. I mean,
Correct,
Okay, so we'll wait.
we have to.
If it's
Yeah.
legal and we can do it, I'm all in favor to move it forward, but we just need to know that,
Yeah,
so. My only question, Jerry, for you, one thing that's kinda always been my little irk about this, is that last sentence, some farm equipment may be excluded.
Yes, because farmers always leave stuff.
I know, but to me, it should be either it is or it isn't.
All
Because-
farm equipment.
Well, because
maybe
you're getting into a stipulation where it's opinion,
Right, right,
of an
it is a
ordinance.
matter of opinion,
correct,
yeah.
on what is or isn't.
So is it an
Not a-
old Cadillac farm equipment?
Well, that's why, I mean,
If the farmer
you know
drives
what I mean? I mean,
it.
I don't, you know what I'm saying.
you can
That's-
put hay in the trunk.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading
Oh,
it,
it's
I've never
alright.
seen one.
Yeah, well,
That part of the required maintenance, that's what you'd call the body of the ordinance.
Yeah,
And we talked about it for 2 or 3 months. And we started listing all the things that would and wouldn't be allowed. Well, it'd be a 20-page document.
Correct.
And it would get down to,
right, you have to.
so it's purposely left, so that if anything's a real gross mess, they could be forced into cleaning it up. If it, if it provides unsanitary conditions, or if it's a nuisance, gonna devalue Jody's property, for example, then it's hurting you. And that's not right, so.
You know, I've always looked at this thing, it always depends on who your neighbor is.
That's right,
It's 100% an opinion. It
It
doesn't
is.
even have to be a neighbor.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're sitting beside
You-
the wrong guy, the
Yeah,
phone's
but I
gonna
mean,
ring. If
you
you're sitting
bought
beside
it
the other
to vote.
guy,
To me,
it
that's
doesn't
a
ring.
nuisance. I mean, it's very, very opinionated to what a nuisance is or isn't.
Yeah, and
that's-
that's problematic in the body of this ordinance, and even the amended ordinance. It's, I agree with that.
I'll be surprised if you can levy a property tax. It's just such a powerful mechanism, I
I
just
know.
cannot believe that they're gonna let us do that.
Well,
I asked MMA twice and they were like, yeah, if you go to court, and then the court says that that's how you get your money back, then
But
you
if a
can.
judge gives you permission, you're right.
Exactly.
Okay, I follow that,
Yeah,
Okay.
but you just can't.
which sounded to me like you'd be in court at least twice, one to get the verdict and one when you go back because you haven't gotten your money.
Haven't made
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
My only other quick question,
Sure.
because I don't know, that's why I'm asking. So we've actually had other instances in the past with landowners that had grievances or whatever through code enforcement, and they've always come directly to us. So why would this one be going through the appeals board and not going through the select board as a grievance?
Only because everybody should have the right to appeal, and every other ordinance we have has the right to appeal in it. It's.
And they all go through the appeal board?
Pardon me?
And all the other ordinances go through the appeals board?
Yes,
Personnel doesn't.
No,
Well-
it comes through us.
yeah.
That was why I was questioning that piece, that's all.
Yeah, that's a good point, because ultimately, if there's a real problem and George has to deal with it, it's gonna come right to the select board meeting for you to decide, are we gonna take this further?
To me, that seems like a more appropriate venue than our current appeals board. Because they typically rule on, well, like shoreland zoning and those sorts of issues. But not so much this sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what that's why when I read it, I was confused to why this wouldn't fall back onto us rather than the appeals board.
Oh, yeah.
I think you might be able to make it that way. If you say the appeals.
Well, I just need to
board being
understand,
the
that's
select
all, I
board.
mean,
If you wrote that in there, the Board of Selectmen, and then that would be where they went to appeal. Because one of the things about this is there's a lot of consideration about legal. You might look at a case and say, yeah, this really, you shouldn't prevail. But in order to enforce this, it's gonna cost us 10 times, so you might not do it. And I've heard people say, well, just rent a truck and go take all that stuff off their property, and that
I've
scares the
heard
heck
that
out of me.
We've honestly been that close to doing that in the past. Hiring an excavator with a thumb and a dump truck and.
Taking people's
Cleaning
property.
them out.
Yeah, it's like, no, you can't do that.
As much as it, might be the best in the end, but you drive across somebody's lawn and you damages a leach field, or, you have that $1 million family heirloom that disappeared. I mean, it can get pretty clunky on our end, I think, but.
I think it could be appealed either through the select board or the appeals board. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just gotta decide which is gonna be and put that in the ordinance.
Are you trying to get this in for this town meeting?
We were gonna try to do it, but we were a month late getting it completed, because I didn't have a quorum in January.
Oh, great.
And, but I don't think it has to.
Okay.
But we have a lot of ordinance work that we need to do, maybe we,
Yeah, if there's a
Do-
special at any point in time, right? That you can throw, once that it's cleaned up and ready to go, right?
Yeah, particularly once we've got legal opinion on
Sure.
this.
Yeah, I think we definitely have to have legal, and that's my only, like I said, that the part about being the appeals board instead of us. Not sure where I wanna be on that.
And the last part of that, section 4 administration, the last sentence, it says the cost of legal action and expenses may be added to any fines incurred, meaning it wouldn't cost us.
Yeah, if that's legal.
Right,
It's
Right.
it's one thing to say it,
no, I know that, yeah. Yeah. Right,
and then we'll
Right,
put
we have
all
to-
that on your property tax.
And there again, I would, I don't like open-ended. I would get rid of may, and I would put will.
Uh-huh.
Because if you're going to this level, and you're gonna search legal actions,
it has to
we
be
don't want to pay
definitive.
for that.
Right,
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 they-
it's gotta be definitive.
Correct.
If
That's
it
my-
can be, it should be.
Right, because we're not looking to do this to add more costs on the rest of the taxpayers.
Right, right.
Whatever cost needs to be accrued needs to come back to the problem, and
Right, so that would be, I agree with you with the, not may, will be added to any fines. If we can do that, that's the way it should read, so.
Well, the planning board operates at the will and pleasure of the select board. So, you just,
Yeah,
well, I mean, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts as well, Jerry? I mean,
you just tell me what you'd like to do. If we're gonna change some wordage and get a legal opinion, then we're too late for the warrant.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we'd have to come to a special,
Yeah,
meeting, which would give us time for a hearing if we wanted one.
oh,
I looked, we don't have to have one as long as it goes in front of an open legislative
Yes,
meeting.
yeah.
I checked just to make sure, because there are some ordinances that have to have a public hearing. You could have one still, you don't have to,
Yeah. Okay.
is my understanding from what I've read, but
I mean, wording wise, is that really the only couple things?
I mean, for me, I'd have to, sit down and read it, you know what I mean? Because I have to,
we'll address it.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Jerry.
Next is review of treasurer's warrants, payroll 12, and accounts payable 11 and 13.
Oh,
Oh, do you not have an agenda again?
no, but I haven't
done
seen
it
them,
yet.
Oh,
I'd like to look.
oh,
you
yep,
know, just at least,
yep.
Take a quick break or just, hang on a second, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll just,
take a break.
we're gonna, okay, we're back in, I make a motion that we come back in session, it's 5:35.
I'll make a motion to approve A and B as read, item 2.
And we vote.
You read them, right? Yeah.
All three are in favor of those warrants. On to new business, updated property maintenance ordinance.
covered that.
We've covered that with Jerry. Moving on to old business, town budget to approve corrections. I'm sure they're minor.
No,
Okay,
unfortunately, you called because you were looking at.
Thank you.
One of you gets color because I accidentally printed it in color. Because I wanted mine in color. You called to talk about the mill rate.
yep,
Oh, yeah.
And so I was running the paperwork again and discovered that I had an issue. I'd taken the overlay the wrong way in the form, and so it had calculated the mill rate incorrectly. So now, if those are mine. Yours.
okay,
Deal.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ah, you did, okay, gotcha.
It's misleading, because when we do the budget, we put in the county, we put in the, school.
we
because-
estimate the school.
We estimate, because we
Yeah.
need to, we need that to figure out what we're doing. We put in overlay, and we put in the contingency. But they function differently in the warrant and in the tax calculations. And so, if you look at the sheet that says 150,000 in budget for paving, I believe this is where we ought to be headed.
What box?
Where we are,
I
what number,
wrote-
what line?
Oh, okay,
We're looking.
okay, this script.
The script that I wrote on the
Oh,
side.
gotcha, oh, I
This is,
gotcha.
this is if we budget 150,000 in paving, you can then change the warrant and take more or less for that 100,000 line. You
Sure.
could- You could make that 150, if that's what you want to do.
Okay,
Oh, so you're saying instead of having 100 out of,
Instead of having 200 in the budget and 100 outside the budget, have 150 in the
50.
budget and 150 outside.
and that's what these numbers represent,
And that's what these numbers represent.
okay.
And at 18 mills,
Oh,
And any direction you move is gonna move your mill.
Right,
So
so-
if you go to
Okay.
100 instead of 150, you're gonna dip below the 18. And if you go the other way, you're gonna be above the 18.
so if you put 100 in the budget and the rest of it outside?
Correct.
Yeah, you could move lower.
Yep, so that's just how it works, it's
So-
the
Right,
dynamic.
Right,
Yeah.
so when I, and this is there again, because, so when I look down below, and so I'm looking on the columns on the right, you got 3 columns side by side. So the very top column, you got 1,467, 979, and then you got minimum tax rate is 17.5, maximum tax rate is 14.6.
right,
And
and,
then over in our calculations, we're actually using 18.
18.
Correct.
You said 14.
I'm, if,
Sorry,
I,
18.46.
Yeah.
Sorry, read it. You
Yeah.
know what I, yeah.
yes, so I'm
Just
setting
like
it at 18, that gives you an overlay of 33,000. We've calculated we need 24 in order to cover our abatements and our discount. Generally, we head to the higher side of the mill rate, and it gets you a bigger overlay.
Correct.
So what happens if that goes to 17.99?
Hold right on, if you, I mean, I can run.
So you,
Well-
that's a
Yes.
number that you plug
I plug
the
in,
mill.
yeah.
You plug the mill in, and then what numbers
But-
get changed?
When I plug,
Oh, your overlay
The-
changes.
that would be, on that case, that would be the only thing that changes. You can also go up and change, I can't change the county. I lowered the education, that is the 4,000 they quoted me. We paid 797,844. I just smacked the 4,000 on it for 801. If they do something different, we got an issue, but, so then this 970 correlates with our budget. If you go to our last page of the budget where it says it's 1,920,316.
The very last line, totals under totals?
Yes, they're at
Oh,
307.
mine, okay. Oh, okay.
So if you take out the school, you take out the county, you get 994, 916. Then you have to take out overlay because that's also figured in the tax calculation, and you get 970, 916. That is the number in, number 8 of the tax rate calculation
Yep.
sheet. And so then your whole budget adds up to 1,896,316. That is without the overlay. So it doesn't match the 1,920,316 because of the overlay, and that's where I made my mistake last time. So basically, I sat down with last year's sheet and
Went backwards.
went backwards, and I couldn't go backwards for a little while. I spent some time scratching my head because the numbers don't match the numbers here on the budget sheet, so they do when you remember to remove all the right things.
So,
So if you're
back to
looking,
the 150 script.
yes,
If that turned into 125, and we just pulled another 25 for paving out of undesignated, that's gonna dip you below 18, just with the 25.
no, we're going the wrong
No, you're going the
way.
wrong way.
Oh,
If
so,
175,
You gotta go 170.
if I take 25 out of this 970 and add it to the 150, that would
okay, that's
We
what I
have to
meant.
increase the budget number for paving.
No, we have,
decrease the budget number and increase
Increase,
the
Reserve pull.
undesignated.
The undesignated pull.
Oh, right, okay,
so we have to,
okay.
we have to
yeah.
reduce the overall down just a little bit.
Sure,
to
okay.
get
That's
that
the look I wore all day.
Yeah, and that's what I was intending
Yeah.
to say. Basically,
Yeah.
we're just gonna we're gonna reduce the tax burden by 25 and pull it from undesignated. Still pay the same amount, just come from a
Correct.
different bucket.
Correct,
That would work. The overlay,
yeah.
there's an estimate as to how many people are gonna take advantage of the discount.
Yeah,
And we don't wanna cut it too close, because if we don't have enough funds for everybody to take the discount, what happens? We're gonna be over,
yeah.
our budget's gonna,
We're gonna be screwed.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna quickly go through your 10,000, well, if you went through your 10,000 contingency, now
Right.
you got a real problem.
Or you're gonna have a hell of a lot of overdraft.
Yeah,
Ugh.
So you can't really miss that, I guess is what I'm
really,
saying.
yeah.
What would end up happening,
So-
honestly, is you would end up having to have another, you'd have to
Have
have a
another
special
town
town
meeting,
meeting.
Yes,
you
you would.
would, exactly.
You'd
Get
have
more
to-
money.
Explain that we
Yep.
got too close on the overdraft.
Yep.
On
On the
the
overlay.
overlay,
Right.
and so we need a little extra, because a lot of people took advantage of the
So
discount.
that's why if you look at the one that says 200,000 in the budget for paving, and you look and it says, our current mill rate of 18.43, that gives you an overlay that's too small.
Okay, that's not enough.
That's not enough. It takes us of 22 to 23,000 to
okay.
cover overlay.
Okay.
That won't work, but I
Okay.
wanted it as a example.
Sure, sure.
So then if you look at the other one, it says 200,000 for the budget in paving.
With an increased mill rate.
Then
get
you're at 31, and I think your overlay is safe. Last year, the overlay was 60 some odd thousand, so you took in,
That was what we budgeted, or that's
well,
what we
with the mill rate, that's what the overlay figure came out to be.
So we got a lot of extra.
You got a lot of extra.
So
Well, that's why we-
taking that 25 and putting it into paving is basically putting that money back to work and reducing the taxes this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's a
exactly.
very, to me, that's a reasonable approach.
Yep, yep.
so
That's
you
good.
can do the 150, or if you wanna pause again, I can run in and run that.
We
Yeah,
can-
let's
What
do
what
that.
number?
We
You
can.
want,
Honestly, I know it only sounds like a penny, but
No, but it's a
it's, to be
psychological
in
thing.
17 is a
I
mill
want a
rate.
17 handle, and I think it's totally legit.
Yep, yep.
okay,
If we could possibly do that.
Yeah,
I can leave you on, or you can.
No, let's
no,
take a
it's
break.
fine. You
I
can
gotta,
take a break
I
so
gotta
that I
use the
can run-
restroom anyway, so
Okay,
I
so-
make a motion that we take a quick recess. It's 5:45. Second?
second,
Recess. I make a motion, we come back in session at 10 minutes of 6.
second.
We're back in biz. Okay, on to our budget.
Okay,
We're gonna try
Really,
to
that's
approve this with
just-
corrections.
yeah, we're just proving that this is, right, so
So that,
I'm leaving 150 in here. First one. All right, who stole my page?
Don't have any. think I have.
Line 216.
Yeah, I have up to 176. Where the?
Oh, no.
There it is. There it is.
Paving.
So,
Okay. So we're going to.
so the, Public Works budget, the Budget Committee number, the 591,905, that's 300,000 in the budget. So if you subtract 150,000 from that, you get the 441,905. So that's what Article 25 will now read. And Article 26 will now read 150 instead of 100. And everybody got back to me but Patty, so everybody's in agreement that that I can say that the Budget Committee agrees.
Oh, she did get that. I saw her email today. It came, I got it and she said, I agree, I'll go along with the board. And
I saw everybody else's.
maybe she sent it to me. Maybe she
Oh.
did.
Okay, well,
That's
then it's unanimous and nobody's going to be upset with me.
I can forward it to you tomorrow if you can get the record of it.
Yeah. I already had 4 people who were,
I spoke to Lance, he was fine.
yep. So that's the only change in the budget. I don't know if you need to approve the amendment.
Make a motion to approve the amendment of the 2020 budget. Do I have to say- do I have to say what the amendment is? No. Yes?
Let's-
Okay.
We're gonna have to, honestly, part of the discussion, but, we're gonna have to do the same thing on the warrant article, because that's
Yes.
gonna change, so we're gonna have to read
Yes,
that.
that's why they're all on the agenda.
Okay.
All right, we vote.
Yep.
Amendment is approved. By 3 votes.
Okay.
On to the warrant.
I didn't print you one.
I say, I don't have a warrant.
Oh, I've got a bunch of them. You can have that one.
So that's the only change, right?
Oh, you know what? I do have
Just
one.
change it. I'll share with you.
Yeah, well, I'll share.
So actually,
I have
that's.
another one I don't need to share with you.
Look at
Isn't
that.
that
Look
already
at
there?
that. Right where it should be.
215.
Oh, so Friday, I don't know how you're doing for space, but it was suggested to put the election of the trustee.
On there,
Yeah, because they're still in
flux.
nebulous until another vote. So it really is gonna probably be a moot point, but put
Put
it
it
in
back.
there, please.
I had Lorna remove it, I'll have her put it back. There's
Thank
plenty,
you.
there's plenty of room on that first page to just add,
Okay.
elected director.
That number just needs to change to the 441.
Correct.
Well, that's the one below you know. so-
Yep, so that's gonna go down 50, and this is gonna go up 50.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, so that's 441.
Yep. That's
That's why
Article
we're talking
25 and
this out, so we
26.
Yes.
both go
Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah. There we go, great.
I think it's 25 and 26, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. So if we just make a motion to amend those, are we good?
I think so, I didn't have
I mean,
anything.
we've already approved it, so we just
Yeah.
gotta make a motion to amend.
Yeah,
Alright, so do we wanna read the numbers when we do it?
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Alright, so I make a motion to amend Article 25 from 491,905, and the new number is gonna be 441,905, 50,000 less. Article 26, I make a motion that we increase the appropriate from 100,000 to the 150, as a $50,000 increase.
Second?
Any further discussion? We vote. It is unanimous. The 3 of us have approved the amendment.
okay.
We are flying.
So then it's just, what do we want to, for the town report in terms of this?
Yeah, this is not gonna be as quick.
No, sorry guys,
No.
I thought I was gonna work on it today and,
Oh my God.
Oh, just before we dive into this,
Yes.
so, when are you submitting this to the printer?
tomorrow.
Okay,
I did get the audit short report.
Okay,
They say they need 2 weeks, so tomorrow's the 18th, plus 14, puts us into the first week in March.
okay. So we should be done tonight, or in a position where we feel like whatever we're gonna tweak, we're gonna send to her tomorrow, and that's it.
Yeah, it's going to take Lorna, a little bit of time tomorrow morning to put the table of contents together, because we were waiting to see, how many
Yeah,
pages
where
is the warrant, how many
sure.
pages is the audit report,
Oh,
how
yeah.
many pages were we printed out the tax reports, so those all, but she's gonna put that together in the morning, and if I can put this together, we'll be good to go.
So this is the bullet point one.
Yeah, so I kind of did a timeline, and then on the next page, I just threw some numbers on there, because I gave up, I was too tired to finish it, but, I don't know,
Don't we have there's another meeting in between the 21 and 12/4.
20,
Because we had a meeting, I'm just trying to,
I'll tell you.
there was another meeting on 12/4. The contractor came that day, and then we had a meeting that night.
we talked about having a second because we had the first contract.
We did talk about
Then
having,
we had a discussion at a meeting, and then that's when we said, because of the urgency, that's when we reached out to the second contract.
yeah, so basically,
So between 11/21 and 12/4 should be another,
Brian Howard came on 11/20.
I can look.
Brian looked at the building on 11/20, and I told you I'd have an estimate the next day, or shortly. He sent one the next day. So that's why it says a couple of contractors.
right, but that's what I'm saying though, is that's not what we did. We had the 11/20, and we talked about having a contractor. Then we had the contractor, and then because
He scared us.
he scared us
Yeah.
with what his finding was, that's when we reach out to a second, plus to get a second
We
number.
met on the 23rd, but that was solely for my review. I don't remember.
I'm trying to get on the internet. I'm trying to get on the internet to look at the agendas,
Yeah, I looked.
but it's saying, we're having trouble finding that stuff.
In the same way after contractor number 2 estimate, there's another meeting with
Come on.
us before we had the workshop, because that's when we discussed it, to have the workshop.
Yes, he gave me the estimate
Maybe
that day,
that's
and
what
we met 12/4 that night,
I can't.
and decided to have the workshop.
I think that piece is important.
Okay, so, another, list them separately or combine them so that they,
What, you think, what is important?
on
Yeah, we
12/4, we
discussed
we had a meeting that night, and that's when we discussed having the workshop, and we decided to schedule
To get
one.
the public's,
Right, but the fact that the workshop was scheduled, it's self-evident that we called it. I mean, there's no other way a workshop happens. I mean, we could say, and then we decided to have a workshop. Next, we had a workshop. I mean, that's what we did,
Causing,
but we clearly have made attempts to try to keep people informed.
Right.
Some people showed up, we have a list of everybody that was there. In fact, that was a pretty, there were only 7 people, it was fairly spirited, there was a lot of interaction.
well, that's what I'm saying, between the work from the start of this, we've actually had, in just a month, we had, there's like 5 meetings that we've actually had and discussed this.
And I think that workshop was recorded, was it not?
yes.
Do we have the workshop that we had at your house?
I didn't put it on there, we didn't record it, but all we were discussing was
This,
This.
this,
Yeah,
so I can put it on
the
there.
language, and we're really trying to,
Okay.
we're still doing it actually.
That,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all
Yeah.
we worked on that day.
Yeah,
Okay.
so on 12/4, I can say, instead of contractor number 2 estimate, I can say, review of, number 2 estimate at select board meeting. And then, contractor number 2 brought in an engineer and estimated the needed repairs to cost $131,500, causing the Board of Selectmen to schedule a workshop.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep, perfect.
And same way with contractor number one,
okay.
after reviewing the
Urgency.
proposal or whatever from contractor number one.
Yeah.
Decided
We
to
sought a second
get
opinion.
a second opinion.
Right. Doesn't really have to keep getting broke out, it's just gotta be,
Yeah. Okay. I didn't actually put in there, but it's 4,500.
Mike, you had read the bottom,
Yeah,
because I
I did
think
not.
on the second page here, are we,
yeah, we're good.
the bottom part, you said you worked on those like last
Yeah,
week?
I was just kind of, shotgunning this thing, but, and I don't know that we wanna get into this in this letter, but I think we gotta sooner or later. So I'm just gonna pick up and kinda read this and.
And this is the bottom part of that, the letter?
The original
Right,
letter.
right,
Okay, for a detailed survey, the town would have to pay Carpenter another $4,500. This would allow them to take accurate measurements and provide recommendations with potential options for necessary repairs, modifications, etc. to the foundation and structural framing systems for the road. Since 1992, taxpayers of Sangerville have invested, and I put invested in quotes, over $400,000 in the upkeep of their town hall. Now we're looking at spending an additional $400,000 just to keep the building inhabitable. This does not include improvements in energy efficiency or structural upgrades that would allow us to use the entire building. It should also be noted that our annual energy cost is approximately $10,000. As a result of their inspection, MMA has cut our insurance coverage from $1.1 million replacement costs with blanket coverage to $488,000 actual cash value without blanket coverage. And will be raising our deductible from $1,000 to $5,000 or possibly $10,000. Basically, if we were to repair the foundation, our insurance would cover only half of our total expenditures. The town of Sangerville has reached a crossroads. We need a municipal office. Does it need to remain in a 120-year-old theater? Or do taxpayers deserve a more practical and efficient use of their money? The select board has added a discussion article to the town warrant so that we, the residents of Sangerville, can discuss this issue.
Shouldn't inhabitable be habitable?
That's a good question, that's like,
Yeah, I'm gonna,
that's like
yeah,
worm
just so
and
that
deworm.
it is habitable, you're correct.
Habitable.
Yep,
And I
so that
wrote,
it's not inhabitable.
right, right.
Right.
I rewrote the first part, but the question is, we're not gonna do bullet points in this letter.
Well,
I would definitely put that after the bullet.
you can end, in other words, this is kind of a summation.
Okay,
Now, I'm not saying it has to be this summation, but I like
No,
the
no,
bullet
that-
points,
it's
and now, here's where we are.
And I was honestly, when Bridie handed me all of this, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at this,
yeah,
and I'm looking at this, it's like, alright, how do we take this and come up with a very nice summary, or a couple of sentences or paragraph to start it, so people have an idea,
right,
and then
'cause-
it hits the bullet points.
okay, cause I
And
wrote
then
the
you did that,
beginning
which,
part.
that's even awesome for an ending.
So,
Well,
because
so
what
you
we've
did
done
the
is we pulled the
I
bullet
wrote
points
the
together.
beginning.
Right.
Well, there you go, Jody's.
Well, and Mike and I
good.
sort of, he said he was working on the end, so I said, well, I'll just stick to the beginning.
I like
So
it.
I rewrote the beginning. And the funny thing is we overlapped by one paragraph, and we basically made the same exact.
You did.
Yeah.
Great minds.
Yeah. So I just cleaned it up, so, do you want me to read it, or?
Please.
Yeah.
So, on October 23rd, 2019, Maine Municipal Association Risk Management Services, because some people don't know what MMA is, so I wrote it.
Yeah,
Sent a loss control consultant to inspect the town of Sangerville's properties. This type of mandatory, question mark, I don't know if it is mandatory.
it's, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it
this
is.
type
Yeah,
of
I mean-
mandatory survey occurs every 5
If you want
years.
insurance, it's mandatory.
Right. The consultant concluded that the town hall has major structural concerns or anomalies, that's in quotes. The report specifically cited that the rear south foundation wall shows signs of outward displacement and the library walls have stress fractures from the foundation's movement. That's the first paragraph. The loss control consultant required the town, I didn't change any of this, because now it's quote, to hire the certified structural engineer to evaluate the foundation and to make the needed repairs based on the recommendations of the engineer, end quote. Next paragraph. Local contractors were contacted to see if the foundation issues posed any immediate danger to the staff and public. Both contractors expressed the opinion that there were indeed structural issues that must be addressed. Their opinion was that immediate action should be taken, but there was no need to vacate the building. Their quotes to fix the south wall's foundation issues ranged from $125,000 to $130,000, end of paragraph. Carpenter Associates, a professional engineering firm from Old Town, was contacted for an engineering survey of the town hall. An inspection was conducted of the entire building. The engineer found issues with all 4 foundation walls as well as the floor joists and beams. The engineer estimated that the foundation repairs would range from $200,000 to $300,000. The repair of the issues stemming from the movement of the building could add up to another $100,000.
Alright, so, you
Period.
just talked me out of that,
Why?
because I like how that is.
And then it's
And that's just the
then we get to
reworking of
the
the first one,
overlay.
right?
Correct, well, it's kind of both.
Yeah.
So the overlay paragraph that you and I both wrote, I wrote, at present, the town has the option to obtain a detailed evaluation of the required work from Carpenter's Associate for an additional $4,500. This would allow the firm to take accurate measurements and provide recommendations with potential, and then Bob on and on. So, I mean, it's almost exactly what you said, Mike.
Yeah, well, and I didn't actually change, I don't believe I changed what
Oh,
was
okay.
there on that, so
Oh,
that's just
okay.
where I started.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and I
The
like
only thing
yours.
is, I love yours, honestly. The only thing that I was, and that's why I was looking at you, it's like, well, I don't need this anymore. But if we take yours.
Right.
And you go back to where,
Well,
right before when you start talking about carpenters again.
Okay,
So if you insert a paragraph there, something to the effect of, I don't know, discussions during town with the board and a workshop. Because all of us
right.
with a workshop, that's how we ended up going to them.
to Carpenters.
Yes.
Well, and actually,
Or is that?
MMA wanted us to do the carpenter thing.
Right.
They really didn't say, just bring in a contractor.
No, and
Well,
I
they said
only
carpenter,
brought,
They said engineer, and we already did that
Right.
first 2 contracts.
Right.
Well, they're
So-
really not,
so
they
what-
didn't full-blown engineer it. They just looked at the wall and said, here's what.
one of the
goes through
contractors
wall.
brought in an
Yeah,
engineer,
they did.
and he looked at,
That wall.
yeah,
Yeah,
He didn't look at the other 3.
he actually did, but kept his focus on, yeah.
I don't know, if you, I mean, if you don't think that that's important, then we don't have to, but
I think the workshop is important,
yeah.
because otherwise we
Well,
look like we're hiding
So you're
things.
saying you wanna drop the bullet points altogether now?
She's saying everything right there.
I
There's
understand.
no dates though,
I mean,
there's no
if you-
dates where people
But if
could,
you do that, then this is all, it's
Yeah.
the same thing twice.
yeah, right, that's why I was saying, which one do we, where are we going, what are we doing here?
I just like how that flowed,
Yep.
honestly.
It's good,
Well, I mean, I only just rewrote what you wrote,
yeah.
mostly just. So,
I tend to write a rough draft, leave it, come back and look and go,
Same
okay,
here,
this
same
is,
here.
yeah, fix
Yeah.
this, and this, and I hadn't
That's
ever
why
come
we-
back to it.
yeah,
But with her beginning and what you had on the end.
yeah.
It's fine
yeah,
with me, I think it's, and I think
And I
it's,
just, that's what I think it's important though, to get something in there about the workshop, that's all.
Yep,
That
Okay,
we've had numerous meetings of,
um,
and trying to understand all of this and
right,
with a workshop and the public involvement.
I didn't
mean,
spell it out in here, I just said that a workshop was held to let residents know what issues we were facing with the town hall. The
so
one thing you might
something-
need to know is we had 7 people in attendance.
right,
So a paragraph like after numerous meetings with contractors, architects, or engineers, and workshops involving citizens, we've come to some sort of conclusion. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
so a paragraph kind of summarizing those efforts.
Do you think it should go at the end?
I think in the middle.
In the middle.
We're transferring from you to this,
Carpenter.
this last part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about, is it important that people read this, understand that Carpenters Associates does have the history with the building?
No,
I don't think so.
I think
that's-
it's too much information.
Because
You know,
then you're gonna get into this explanation as to why did you go back to them when it didn't work? And then you gotta explain why, you know. I'm not
Yeah.
even sure that the fact that Carpenter would give us a more detailed plan for $4,500 is even
I don't think it's
important.
relevant.
You don't?
We're not gonna do it.
It's too much information, it's
Okay.
not even
Yeah,
relevant.
it seems superfluous to me.
Okay.
We aren't going to do it, I mean, what are we, well, I thought that Carpenters was actually gonna lay out for us how much more economical a new building.
Well, they
Could
said
be.
one option would be, if you want me to tear it down and give you a quote on a new one. Now, we could use him for a quote on a new building,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
But I don't see us spending $4,500 to have a thorough,
On what, yeah.
on
I
this
hear you.
structure.
That I agree
That's
with
just
you.
not,
To know that you're gonna spend 410,000 over 510,000?
right, and then, okay, now let's go to the next floor,
Don't
and
spend
then
another
we're up to
4,500.
980,000, you know, we're not gonna do that.
Right, because that 4,500 really is if we said, okay, we wanna fix this.
Well, yeah,
building.
we're
Yeah.
kind of, you know,
Right.
our thoughts, we need a little
Yeah,
more
they
information.
spent 2 weeks going over this
Yeah, I mean,
building,
that's really-
measuring
if we-
everything
Right.
and,
If we had
Yeah.
to go ahead to go ahead and.
I think we have enough information to know that we don't need an additional $4,500 worth of information, based on what he gave us.
Right.
Now, if we were kind of in the balance, then that would be different. But I'd rather take that $4,500 and put it towards the plans for the new building.
Right.
So I guess we can drop that. So if we can transition from your first
Yeah,
part
I
to
would
the
need, I
second.
need yours to fix mine, because I didn't do anything.
Okay, you have mine, right? I sent it to you.
Oh, okay, I didn't get it yet.
Yeah,
So do you still wanna put something in there about the workshop?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but
Yes,
we're,
yes,
in
yeah.
other words, all those steps, after
just
several
trying to
meetings,
keep
I know.
you're gonna get your workshop in there.
You're
Tired.
getting, so, no, I know, so, and I know, so this has to be done by when?
Today,
sometime tomorrow.
yeah, you can have it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
You're 3/4 of the way there.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
In fact,
You
the
just have
bullet
to
points
plug
are gonna
that
help you do that
paragraph in.
paragraph.
Yeah, okay,
Cause all
okay.
those,
Okay,
all those
yeah,
events are right there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I'm gonna get rid of the entire paragraph about, at present, the town has the option to obtain a detailed
I think so,
evaluation.
yes. Yep.
Okay,
In fact, if you wanna do this, I mean, you can mull it, you can shoot it back and forth.
Sure.
We get extra
Okay.
eyeballs, you and Rick, Terry and I,
Good,
and we'll,
good.
and then tomorrow morning you'll have something.
yep.
Yeah, as long as,
Cause we just need that one paragraph that kinda ties the two ends together.
Now, is that printed out right there?
Yeah, you want it?
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be great, because that's a lot.
And the workshop paragraph.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Seriously.
and don't forget the workshop paragraph.
if you email that, you can just copy.
I already
paste
did email it to her.
So you just copy and paste it in.
I know, that's true, you're right, okay, that's right, you're right. But I had trouble getting this to, so that I could work on it. Rick had to do it for me. You know what I mean? I kept opening it and it wouldn't let me change it.
Just just write workshop.
Yeah, I will.
Really bad.
Because you can just cut all the narrative and paste it in your text edit application and then do it in there, no?
she's like,
She,
what did you say?
No.
but
No,
don't be
I'll
shy,
figure it
we'll
out. No,
bolt
I
it
know.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Terry is a whiz at
Okay,
that.
yeah, no, I know. So I'm taking that paragraph out.
Yep.
It's gone, it's gone.
Do you
goodbye.
need,
Gone.
picture?
No.
Well, once we have once the document's done, you can place your pictures where you want them, where they make sense, and that'll be cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other thing is, we talked before, and I know this got summarized, but we were
It's
talking,
all in there.
so you don't wanna see the breakout of how much we spent over, you just wanna see the big number?
Well,
You
That's
put,
a question.
you put
I mean-
those numbers in there.
yeah, I
You
did put them in there.
There's numbers in there.
No, I know
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but remember before when we had them, you said how
I think it's important
to-
to have those at your town meeting, sitting right in
Okay,
your
but
book.
as far as the total for in here, that's fine?
Yeah, they're all referenced.
Okay.
The annualized cost, what we spent over the
Yeah.
last 20 years is all in there.
Okay.
And like I said, I think at the town meeting, we all want that sitting right in front of us.
Right. And I mean, we may need to, I mean, if.
I put 400 because I didn't know it was 415. Because I didn't have the,
Oh.
I knew it was over 4,
So
but Bridie had a fresh number there on.
415?
Yeah.
Okay,
415, 964.
Here.
should I write that number?
You got it.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
I have that sheet, okay.
Okay.
And I just didn't, I knew it was over 4, I just didn't know what it was.
I'm at 964. There we go. Okay, okay, all right. Okay, so I'll go straight home and start working on that and get it.
Thank you, Jody.
Oh, gosh, no, my gosh.
So anything else?
Are you kidding?
That is it, right?
Yep.
Wow.
It's just gonna be a really quick meeting, just gonna.
Do we need to sign anything? Are we all good? or-
Tomorrow night?
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna sign it.
the,
and not until it's, oh. When
I
do we
would
sign?
cancel tomorrow night's meeting. It doesn't have to be signed until Terry wants to
Okay.
post it.
Which we got some time for that.
Yep,
We're gonna do that next week, you said.
yes.
But does it have to be signed in there's no signatures in the town report?
No, you didn't sign it
Sign
last
your-
time.
Sign your letters or anything?
Oh, yeah, we signed our letter, she has our signed
Yeah,
letter.
I have that, mhm.
Oh,
but
I
it's
thought-
not,
No,
it's
okay.
not signed,
Okay, okay.
so.
No signing in there, because you don't know what's in there.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
so
Yeah,
I-
it's really the commitment.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Okay, well, you got tomorrow off then.
Thank you.
Okay, so no meeting tomorrow night? That's,
We did it all.
I mean,
I don't have the minutes done, that's the only thing I have that,
that's
that,
fine.
I mean, I'll get the minutes. I don't have them done at the moment.
You don't need it. Okay,
Okay, are we ready to adjourn?
yes,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
okay.
Second, we vote, all 3 of us voted to adjourn, it's 25 after 6.
I can't even use this, I don't even know how to do
all the
that.
cat